a company called Book.Events.
Yeah.
And obviously this is like a natural progression or step for the other things that you do in your kind of your career. What helped you to create that and kind of push that forward?
Okay. Most of the promotion today takes place on social media. I'd say probably 95% of it. There's a few old school people going around putting posters in windows and leaflets in shops like this one. But I can tell you now, putting leaflets in a shop like this one is a waste of time. Yeah, no one picks up leaflets. Very seldom do people look at posters in windows.
Yeah.
But it still happens. So social media, as far as I'm concerned, is everything. It doesn't hurt to do the old school methods if you've got time, but social media is really everything. So I constantly battle social media. Some people prefer Twitter, some people prefer Facebook, some people prefer Instagram. My medium of choice is Facebook. Instagram is something I'm looking at more because I should. On Sunday, weren't we? Because I should. But Facebook is where my level of expertise is. And when I say I study Facebook, I'm actually monitoring social media and Facebook from the moment I wake up in the morning. It's the first thing I pick up. I reach my phone before coffee, before anything. And I'm still on social media. I'm on social media the whole of the day. I go home, I have my tea, I put my computer back on. I'm back on social media till probably 2:30 in the morning when I go to sleep. So that's a substantial amount of time.
2:30 is early because I've been able to successfully I've been able to successfully message Nick at 3:30 in the morning, and he's replied there and then.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. And what I'm doing is I'm battling social media constantly because my job is to get a message out to the people on it.
Yeah.
And social media seems to have the job of stopping you doing exactly that because they want you to pay to do it. So I'm always trying to get that balance between, is it worth paying or is there another way of doing it? And I seem to avoid most of the time the paid route, even though I do test the paid route. Book.Events is the end result of years of testing. And it's a way of driving people from social media to an event without them stopping you.
Yeah.
So if you put an event on, I'll give you an example. I spent £25 and someone else I know, we both spent £25 on advertising an event recently. We got 18 click-throughs, 18 and 20 I think, which means the person saw the information on that event and they were interested enough to click on it to get more further information on it. That cost me £1 to get one person who probably didn't even go to the gig or didn't buy a ticket if it was a paid gig, just to look at it. That is expensive, and it's out of the reach of most people. So with Book.Events, I devised a way that we can actually share a gig across many different pages and groups and drive people to the page where they can get the full information, the ticket, etc. And for the same price, if you're putting on an unpaid gig, at Book.Events we would charge £25, and we would guarantee you that 500 people would click on it. That is a substantial difference between paying £25 to getting 20 people. So by working with the results of all the studies we've made, excuse me, we've managed to get that click-through rate down to a realistic price for everybody. If it's a ticketed event, then we work like any other ticketed company, like C Tickets or whatever other company you use. And if you use us instead of them, we charge a 10% booking fee, minimum £1, and we still give it the same level of promo at no extra cost. So you're getting the promotion on top of what you would normally pay just for the ticketing. Consequently, it is far more effective. So Book.Events is a combination of say all the studies we've made across social media, with the sole purpose of driving people to make a decision to go to an event.
And it's a great company too, isn't it? I mean, it's not just a way of accumulating you know, kind of all your studies and all the bits and pieces, is actually a great business model as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that like young entrepreneurs can get their teeth stuck into as well. You know, looking at ways of actually making a living out of music still, but it doesn't have to be like, you know, you're a famous musician or whatever. There are so many different avenues to look into when it comes to music.
Yeah.
And I think that your role as a promoter and as a booking agent and as somebody who is running a successful business as well as this fantastic record shop, which also is very, very much online as well, which is great.
The funny thing about Book Events is, and we've recently diverted out to it, doesn't just work for events. It works for any business. The Sweet Memories record shop is on Book Events as a floating advert in between the events, and it's had 65,000 views in the last 18 months. And that's without it even being shared across social media on a regular basis. Because while people are looking at the events, they're clicking in and having a look at the record shop or whatever else is on there. So it actually is working for all types of businesses now, which is great.
What is the biggest struggle that you find with booking acts at a regular venue?
Right, the problems with booking acts, which is probably the same for any promoter, is last minute cancellations is the biggest bugbear. No shows don't happen very often, but they still happen. I had one last week, at least one last week. Cancellations, last minute cancellations, they're mostly for legitimate reasons. They're mostly illness, trauma in the family, whatever. They are mostly legitimate, but what occurs from that is a cancellation on the last minute can take 2 hours out of my life to actually get someone to fill that cancellation. So
it's not as if you could just leave it with nothing on.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You can't just. There's a big gap.
Yeah, you cannot just go, oh well, there's a performer not there tonight. I have to make that night happen, whatever. I had a cancellation yesterday from someone who's performing next Sunday, who's decided they're already going to be ill because they're not feeling well today. Okay, so they've cancelled next Sunday because they're pretty sure their illness is going to progress, which is a little bit strange, but at least I've got notice. Yeah?
You have at least
time
given you
to fill it.
Notice.
Yeah, and a pure example of Facebook not doing their job is when I post up a cancellation and say I have a gig free, the chances are not many people are going to see it.
That's the problem, isn't it? I see things like 2 days later.
Oh yeah, you'll see it after the event. So Facebook is deliberately limiting. But again, because I've got such a lot of group and pages, I can sort of flood the market a little bit. I can get it out there somehow, but not always, and not to everyone, which is really, really frustrating.
And as a promoter, have you had any horrific demands, like riders and stroppy groups that you've booked? You don't have to name names.
No, I mean some of the riders on some of the gigs I've done have been a little bit extortionate. I don't think there's any need for 2 bottles of premium rate vodka, 8 bottles of lager, several types of mixers, and it just goes on, and that's for 2 people. I think sometimes, and that's on top of fees of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
I think it's just a bit off sometimes. I mean, the biggest rider I've ever seen was actually the Wailers.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't book them. I was just interested, and the rider sheet was 3 pages long, and it included organic vegetables, and I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. And to be honest, to fulfil that rider would not only cost hundreds of pounds, it would have taken 3 days.
Yeah.
To actually go and actually physically buy it. And it's a shame because, I mean, I don't think the people who are putting that in place are actually thinking it through. They're actually causing someone a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and additional costs.
And who has left you the most starstruck?
I get starstruck quite a lot actually by on the Victoria side and some of the bigger events I've gone. I get starstruck by seeing someone who I've seen off the TV because they've seen on the TV.
Yeah.
And I still get a kick out of it. And isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can mix yourself and surround yourself with so many amazing musicians, but still something it takes you when you see someone who you saw on an advert or something,
or
on
someone
the
who,
telly.
when you grew up, when I was like 18, 20 years old, you've got Spandau Ballet on your TV every single night, and all of a sudden Tony Hadley's standing next to you. You still want a selfie, believe me. It's not always professional to do so, and sometimes you let your professional side rule and you walk away, and other times you have a look and see if anyone's watching and you grab that selfie.
We my band played one year, thanks to Nick, on the main stage at Victorious quite early on. Actually, I don't think it was. I think it was about 1 or 2 o'clock, which is early, but we were on just before Texas.
Right.
And honestly, we felt like rock stars. They weren't there to see us, but they were there to see Texas. But thankfully, at that moment in time, the droves of people came down to get their spaces. And I think just after that, we had Will Young or someone or whoever it was. But I remember thinking, my God, this is literally what it feels like to step out onto a stage and be greeted by people that are just there to see you. They weren't there to see us, but it felt like it for a moment. And it was amazing. And I still stood there with my kind of AA pass on, just watching, thinking, I'm allowed to go where they go.
Yeah. And there's funny moments as well. I mean, Tony Hadley, again, from Spandau Ballet, he's gone into a Portaloo, and someone shouted out gold, and it's come back gold from the Portaloo. It's just... There's some brilliant moments.
Amazing. Yeah. And obviously...
Or C6 Steve, introducing C6 Steve. One of the funniest things with some of the shows I've done is there's a big discussion on whether it's cool to introduce a band or not on a major event. And it got to the stage where I was told I could introduce them if they wanted me to.
Okay.
So I was in the position of saying, would you like an introduction? And then they go, oh yeah, that'd be lovely. I'm like, yes.
So one, you've spoken to them, 2, you've introduced them.
And then you got people like C6 Steve, and I said, hi, I'm Nick, I'm the stage manager, and here say, hi, I'm Steve, and I said, I didn't think your name was C6. And there was a lot of funny moments too.
That's cool. And of course, right here, we're sitting here now drinking coffee and stuff, but we've been in the same kind of environment as Noel Gallagher and Paul Weller and The Prodigy and all these amazing people. And for this year alone, my husband played on one of the big stages with his covers band, Kings of Leon tribute band, at the same time as Paul Weller. And he didn't actually think they would have much of a crowd, but for them it was like Glastonbury. And they were playing at the same time as Paul Weller, and as soon as they finished and this great kind of reception happened for them, those fans then went off and joined wherever they wanted to go and see, and that is such an amazing experience for people who are either trying to push themselves up the ladder or perhaps just love what they do and they love performing. They have got that experience as playing at the same festival at the same time as some of the most prolific and biggest artists in the world.
Exactly.
So and that's just by putting themselves out there. So that's cool.
And bumping into those people is a lot of fun too. Yeah.
Nick Courtney.
Average Rain.
Cool. Can I just literally show them the minions?
Miley Blanford.
Hey, Miley Blanford.
There he is.
General dog's body and cleaner. Say goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.